sort of show the.
If you have that kind of analysis, I would love.
Happy to try to give as much information as we can to you in that context. And of
Thank
course,
you, Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Chaffetz.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Appreciate it. Are you calling upon the Senate to pass your budget?
I thought you might ask this question because I've heard you guys do this for the last few days. I'm not a budget process expert. You guys are the Budget Committee, but I'll offer a few things in response to that. The Senate does not need a budget resolution in order to pass appropriations bills, pass tax cuts, tax reforms, pass entitlement reforms, pass mandatory savings. As you know, pass the American Jobs Act, pass the payroll tax cut.
Mr.
So
Secretary,
that's a budget process question. What we want to do is to get this, we'd like the Senate and the House together to find more things they can do together that would improve economic growth and jobs. And
I would love to hold hands with Harry Reid. We have done our job in the House in the past and passed budget bills, or passed the budget here. It's a simple question. Are you calling upon the United States Senate to pass the President's budget?
We are absolutely calling on the United States Senate to embrace, as the House as well, to embrace the fiscal reforms we proposed in the budget. Absolutely. And I don't think Congressman governing.
Are you calling upon the Senate to pass the President's budget? When is it reasonable for them to do that?
Can I answer your question? Can I just say one thing? It is not, the test of governing and legislating, if I'm not mistaken, is not for you to send the Senate things that you know will not have bipartisan support. That's not a test of legislating, I don't think.
I'm asking about a Democratic president, President Obama, and this administration, and you as the Secretary of the... Are you calling upon the Senate, which is controlled by the Democrats, to vote on and pass your budget?
As I said, absolutely, we would like the Senate and the House to act on the set of reforms that the President has proposed in the budget. That's what a budget is for. But I was just pointing out that you said that we've done your job by sending the Senate legislation. I don't think that's the test of legislating in a divided country with divided government.
So is it fair for me to say that you're not calling upon the United States Senate to pass this budget?
No, it would be fair to say what I just said, which is that, yes, we would like the Senate and the House to pass sensible fiscal reform that would help the economy. We'd like that to happen.
I find it stunning that the Senate has yet to pass a budget more than 1,000 days. It's terribly frustrating on this.
You can say that to me if you want, but you're using your time poorly because you guys have been saying it for 5 days.
I don't want you to tell me. I don't want you to tell me how to do my job because we're doing our job here. We're doing our job here. We are passing budgets and we are passing legislation that sits and stalls in the United States Senate. And it's frustrating. You can smile and laugh about it all you want.
No, I'm saying I can help you with other questions. I can't help you with that one because that's about the Senate.
I think, well, and that's part of the challenge, is that the White House is not calling upon the Senate to get involved in this game and pass a budget. That's the way we come to a reconciliation. That's how we work these things out, is when we pass something, they pass something, we come together in a conference and we work on it. But if they refuse to do their job, if they refuse to actually, and the White House is just going to sit here giddy without that silly little smirk and laugh about it, like, we can't do anything about it, then we make no progress. And that's part of the frustration. Let me ask you about the January Budget and Economic Outlook that was put out by CBO that estimated that the stimulus didn't cost $787 billion, but actually cost $821 billion. Would you agree or disagree with that analysis?
I haven't seen that, but I'd be happy to take a look at it and get back to you.
Thank you. I would sincerely appreciate it. On page 2 of your testimony, top paragraph, and for members who are looking at this, you have this one particular sentence in here that I would take some issue in. It's the end of the first paragraph of the top page, page 2. These savings are sufficient to stabilize our debt as a share of the economy by 2015 and begin placing our debt on a downward path. And what's troubling here is when I look at the total debt held by the federal government, when President Obama took office, it was roughly $9 trillion. Now it's going to be projected under your numbers in your budget to be at $26 trillion. The president has never put forward a budget that actually balances to actually pay down the debt. Is that correct?
We propose reforms that, as I said, would reduce the budget deficit to a level that is sustainable, defined as the level that stabilizes the debt burden at an acceptable share of the economy and starts to bring it down. That's the test
what percentage would that be? What percentage of debt is acceptable?
Well, the deficit level you need to stabilize the debt has to be slightly below 3% of GDP, and if we do it in this time frame, and that would stabilize the debt burden as a share of the economy, and we measure this as net debt held by the public net of financial assets in the 70s as a percent of GDP. And that level is a manageable burden for us, but as we all said in your chart show, that's a start. Because if you only do that, then in the succeeding decades, those costs start to grow again.